I'm not going to wear my shades for this one. Because this is not the shades on a rant. This is John Tagg on a rant. Because what I have to say is probably the most serious thing I've ever said in my life. I've been fighting with myself on this one for quite a while now. And to share that point, I am also cross-posting this to my personal Facebook page. And in doing so, I'm breaking a promise I made about a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, after the election, I made a video showing my displeasure over who was elected president. And I got a lot of hate for that, at least from a member of my family. More specifically, my biological father. Between that and a whole bunch of other issues I had had with him, I no longer speak with him anymore. And I don't plan on ever doing so again. And after talking with several members of my family, I decided I was not going to post political posts on my Facebook page ever again. Worried that I might stir up drama or get into an argument with somebody. Closest I've done was the March for Our Lives. And even then, things were relatively civil. However, that ends today. What I am about to say is going to be loud, it's going to be angry, and it's going to be real. Many of you who are listening to this are probably not going to agree with what I have to say, and many of you will probably be pissed at what I have to say. But I want to make it very clear right now. I've thought long and hard about whether or not I was going to do this video, and I'm not backing down this time. I'm not cowering away. I'm not going to avoid the drama that is to come, because quite frankly, this needs to be said. I think it's pretty clear at this point that my topic today is the very thing that caused me to stop making political posts back in 2016. Donald J. Trump. If you support our president at this time, and I mean passionately support him, you might want to turn this video off now, because by the time I'm done, you're gonna hate me. There's no other way to put it. You're gonna hate me, because I'm about to rip him a new one. And I'm going to explain why, not even just in my opinion, without a doubt in my mind, Donald Trump is the worst president in American history. However, if I'm going to make this argument, if I'm going to lay out all of this vile, putrid, disgusting mess out in front of everyone, I'm gonna come prepared. So to make sure that nobody can dispute the facts that I am about to lay out, I'm gonna source my facts. And more specifically, down below right here are gonna be links to my sources. And to make absolutely sure that no one can dispute, no Trump supporter can dispute the sources I'm about to use, I have made sure that aside from one story, all of my sources come from Trump's favorite place. One of the few credible news sources out there that Trump actually likes. All of my news facts will be sourced by Fox News. Some of you on the left may wonder why the hell I'd be going there, but I assure you, I want to make sure that anyone who supports Trump will have very little ground to stand on when they try to argue with me. I want to make sure that they can't pull the fake news card on me, because I know many of you will, but I will not give you that luxury. These will be stories straight out of Fox News, meaning that even they, whether they want to admit it or not, can see exactly what they're doing. And you know what? Speaking of fake news, why don't we start with that, shall we? The whole idea that Trump sees any news source that goes against his will, anyone who disagrees with him, anyone who calls him out for the bullshit that it is labeled fake news, because Trump wants to delegitimize our news media. Now, don't get me wrong. Many of those sources, CNN, NBC, and all the others, many of them are biased. There's no doubt about that. There's no question. And many of them make mistakes. And again, so does Fox News. So why is it that these sources are considered fake news, aside from the fact that they just happen to lean the other direction? Because honestly, there isn't any reason. That is the reason. They lean against Trump. So they're the evil. They are the enemy. What kind of mindset do you have to look at a news media that just happens to lean the opposite of which way you do and call them the enemy? I'm sorry. That is bullshit. I may not like Fox News. I'll be completely honest. I don't like Fox News. But I will never say that they do not have a right to exist. They have just as much of a right to post their side of the argument as site places like CNN and NBC do. In fact, because they are leaning the opposite direction, more often than not, they need to be here. We need to have that counterbalance. You don't have to like them, but they have every right to exist as all the other sites do. So for Trump to basically say that these news sites are not credible just because they don't like him is bullshit. And if you agree with him, you might want to rethink that right now. But that's just the media. That's just the news media. That's not about Trump himself. That's just about his attacks on the media. Let's talk about what Trump himself has done as president. The first big one is the Paris Agreement. Many of these stories that I'm gonna bring up, you will debate their effectiveness or how good they actually were till the end of time. My problem with Trump is his reasonings for doing the things he does. Because quite frankly, his reasonings are so fucking beyond belief that there have been many a times where I have questioned his intelligence. The Paris Climate Agreement was not perfect, but it was never going to be. Nothing is perfect. But it was the biggest moment in history where the entire world, even countries who couldn't stand us and we can't stand them, the entire world united under the idea that our planet is in serious danger. Our climate is reaching dangerous levels. And if you're a climate change denier, get the fuck out right now. Because quite frankly, I ain't putting up with your bullshit. So the entire world united under the idea that we need to stop this before it's too late. And it was simple. All we had to do was just set our own plans. We could do things our way, and it was completely voluntary. There was honestly no reason for us to leave this. Even if we didn't like it, we didn't have to follow it. All we had to do was set a plan to fix the environment in our country, and we would reconvene to see how things were going and see what adjustments needed to be made. That's it. That's literally all there was. And the world celebrated this momentous occasion, cheering in praise of our world for finally coming together on something for once in our lives. And Trump decides to pull out. And as dumb as that is, as completely stupid as that is, what makes it even dumber is his reason why. He said that he was pulling out because the world was laughing at us. He said, and I'm pretty much quoting him here, that the reason why the people of the world were cheering was because this agreement put us, the United States, at a disadvantage. And spouted off several things about the Paris Climate Agreement that anyone who had actually read it could tell you was complete bullshit. The exact opposite of what the agreement actually was. And yet, those were his reasons for leaving it. My God, Trump, what kind of moron are you? And immediately, he turned the entire world against him and against us in response. Because no matter what you say, he is the president. He is the leader of our country. So anything he does reflects back on us because he is the image of America right now. He is what the world sees as the embodiment of our country. And this is the image we have. A liar and an idiot. And it gets worse, people. How about the Iran nuclear deal? Many of you can argue whether or not it was actually a good deal. Many of you can argue the specifics of the Iran nuclear deal, but the bottom line is several countries agree, and several scientists, researchers, and experts agree that this was probably about as good as we could possibly get. The Iran nuclear deal was supposed to make it so that in return for us lifting up sanctions we had on Iran, Iran was supposed to cut out their nuclear, disable their nuclear weapons, dismantle their nuclear weapons, and put themselves in a mission so they could not rebuild them for like 15 years and allow us to constantly monitor them to make sure that they were complying with that. And all they wanted in return was that to allow them to import stuff from other countries again. It was a pretty damn good deal when you really think about it. They wanted to be able to have goods and services in their country, and we wanted to make sure they didn't have a nuclear bomb. Sounds pretty reasonable, right? Not to Trump. Trump decided he wanted to make these restrictions, the monitoring, and all these other aspects of the deal to be permanent. Thinking about it just sounds impossible to actually do. And a big waste of money to have to constantly monitor them, whether it be from us or from the UN. He wanted them to never be able to make a nuclear bomb again. And anything less than that was unacceptable. Because of that, we're now pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal. Do you understand what that actually means, people? Do you realize what that actually means? It means that Iran can now go back to building a nuclear bomb because they have no reason to honor the deal to the rest of the countries. We've now put the sanctions back on them. What point is there for them to honor any deal when we're not honoring our end? So we are now looking at the potential of nuclear war in the next few years because this whiny pissant couldn't get what he wanted. Donald Trump is a petulant child, worse than even my 5-year-old son. When I say whiny, I really mean it. This is a guy who claimed that the Obama administration wiretapped Trump Tower, something that was proven unequivocally false. And yet he still acts like it actually happened, constantly complaining that the Obama administration was trying to screw him over. And meanwhile, there are allegations that he actually screwed us over with collusions with Russia. Now, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to source that because, quite frankly, that's an ongoing investigation, and there's no real proof whether or not that's real or not. So let's not even get into that. That is a story for another day. Until we see actual concrete proof, I'm not going to hold that one on it. But you better believe if there is any concrete proof, his ass is going down. But the Obama wiretapping thing, that did happen. Here's the source, right here. The closest that ever happened with that was while he was in Russia, the CIA had unintentionally been wiretapping the hotel he was staying at because they were looking out for Russian spies. Something that the CIA is supposed to do. Be aware of spies that might be trying to get into our country. What the CIA is supposed to do. Trump just happened to be at one of the hotels they were checking, so he got tapped. Oh well, it happens. They did nothing wrong, and it was proven they did nothing wrong. And on the flip side of things, he wasn't willing to condemn truly heinous actions. During the election, the former leader of the Ku Klux Klan endorsed him as president. Any other president that had that immediately condemned this man, David Duke. Trump did not. He practically refused to condemn the man. The epitome of white supremacy and racism is endorsing you. You don't want anything to do with that. But apparently Trump did. Trump didn't mind it at all. Hey, anyone who wants to like me, they can like me. I don't give a damn. Are you serious, Sam? And it gets worse from there. How about the attacks on Charlotte last year? You remember those. The Confederate extremists, the alt-right extremists. And I'm going to call them as that because I know some conservatives and some right-wingers who are actually decent people, and I'm not lumping them in with these assholes. Let me make that clear right now. These alt-right assholes, these idiots, rioted in the streets, protesting because a statue was coming down. A statue of a time that has long since passed, and of a side of our history that lost. And when counter-protesters came to make their case, while both sides did do some stupid shit, we can argue that till the cows come home. The fact that one of the alt-right protesters decided to respond to an alt-lefter by running them over with a car. Any argument they had is immediately gone after that. And while the alt-left may have deserved a little bit of flack, the fact that Trump tried to hold them on equal ground and did not immediately condemn these attacks is insulting. Between both of those instances, it really paints the president as a white supremacist supporter. Oh, and trust me, folks, if you think I'm kidding, if you think I'm just saying that for shock value, oh no, my friends, I have only just begun to prove this point. Just wait till what I have to say at the end. My final story is going to blow this wide open. This is not conspiracy theory. This is not me doing an Alex Jones level nutcase story. No. I've passed that point. No, this is factual evidence showing that this man is a racist, lying asshole. Just wait. We will get to that. But first, we have to talk about some other stupid shit he's done. One of the biggest complaints about Hillary Clinton being president, the thing that a lot of you Trump supporters feared she might do, is give more money to the rich. More tax cuts for the rich. Have you not been paying attention to what Trump's been doing? Because guess what? He's doing exactly what you feared Hillary would do. His budget. Federal budget, his first federal budget, aside from Social Security, the only thing he funded was military. All of our domestic programs, he slashed them. And so while some of them you can debate whether or not they needed to exist, there were many on that list that need that funding, including the State Department, might I add. The State Department, who is our main line of communication with the rest of the world. The part of our government that is supposed to connect with other countries to make sure that they're on our side. He cut them, cutting out ambassadors, leaving many of our embassies empty. And unless you were extremely poor, and I mean super poor to the point where you're practically homeless on the street, you had to be super rich to get any tax cuts from Trump. The super rich got a lot of extra cash thanks to these tax cuts. So did the big businesses, not the small businesses, mind you. The big businesses, the big corporations, the ones that already have billions of dollars. They got the tax cuts. I guarantee you Hillary would have never been that bad about it. As bad as she could have been, and trust me, I will agree, she could have been bad. But not like this. And now we get to the three big ones. The three stories that combined prove to me what kind of man Donald Trump truly is. And I'm not going to be pretty about this. Let's start with the travel ban. The idea of banning sanctuary cities and banning refugees from coming to our country simply because you're worried about a terrorist that might sneak in there every once in a blue moon. And yet all the evidence shows that not only is it nearly impossible for a terrorist to do so, the numbers show that they don't go that way. So congratulations. You denied Muslims entry into our country for no fucking reason. And what's even better about that, and this I have a source for, when the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals denied his travel ban, blocked it from happening, Trump's response, well, maybe we should go ahead and break up the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Maybe we don't need that anymore. Really? Really? Even if you argue that maybe he was already planning on doing that before the travel ban got blocked, you can't tell me that wasn't a catalyst for it. You can't tell me that wasn't a response to their blocking his ban. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. And now we get to the big one. When you want to talk about how his treatment of non-whites are, there is no better example of that than the wall. Let's talk about the wall, shall we? This is the one thing I dare anyone to truly challenge me on. Prove to me that the wall would be worth everything that we would have to go through to make this happen. Because the wall is going to cost us billions of dollars. Billions! Maybe even tens of billions of dollars. And destroy many people's homes in its building. Taking away land from legit homeowners. And why? Keep out immigrants? Yeah, hey Trumpy boy, one problem with that. It wouldn't work! 2 problems. One of which you even admitted yourself. All they'd have to do is get a ladder and a rope, and they're over the wall. So much for that problem. Secondly, if you actually looked at the statistics, looked at the numbers, most illegal immigrants don't even cross the border. They don't just walk across the border. You know what they do? They come in on work visas and just stay past them. Are you gonna build a wall high enough to keep planes out? I'd like to see you try, because that's what you're gonna have to do. If you want to build a wall that's truly gonna keep immigrants out, you have to block the planes from flying across. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who actually want to go to Mexico for a visit would probably be a little pissed off about that. All this just to keep out Mexicans. And if you think for a minute that his problem isn't with Mexicans in general, just in illegal immigrants, then what I'm about to share with you is going to disprove that entirely. And this is the one story that is not sourced from Fox News, but it is sourced by PBS, so it's government owned. Basically, this is about as close to legit as you can get for you people. But I also have a direct quote from Donald Trump to go with it, so you better believe I'm coming armed for this one. And it all boils down to one number. One number that, to me, encapsulates everything wrong with the Trump administration. This is the main reason I decided to do this video now. I was waiting to do this until I had enough confidence and enough facts together to really tear this one apart. And I think I do now. But this number is what settles it for me. What number is that? 1,475. I want you to itch that number into your mind real quick, because once you hear what that number represents, you will understand my rage. And I'm not alone on this either. 1,475. What does that number represent? Well, something this administration has done, thanks to our Department of Justice, has been rounding up immigrant families. And instead of just keeping them together and deporting them, as it should be done, ICE has been separating the parents from their children, and even marking them with a yellow armband to signify this fact. Marking them with something to let them know they're an illegal immigrant. Sound familiar to anybody? As someone who comes from a German family, it sure sounds familiar to me. 7,000 children have been separated from their families. But then we get that magic number, 1,475. That is the number of children separated from their families thanks to ICE, who are now missing and unaccounted for. ICE has lost or misplaced human children, and what's worse, it is believed that some of them may have been lost to human traffickers. I want to repeat that. I want you to hear that loud and clear so that you understand how insane that is. 1,475 human children are now missing and possibly in the hands of human traffickers just because their parents brought them into this country illegally. Now, this is actually the second time I've recorded this video, and I'm actually glad I re-recorded it. My rage is not as strong, though it's still pretty strong, but nothing compared to my first video, I assure you. But the other reason why I re-recorded it, I'm glad I re-recorded it, is because something else was added to this mix that really puts the whole thing in perspective. On social media, the world has gone nuts over this fact. This has pissed off a lot of people. Without question, it's pissed off a lot of people. And the Trump administration is being called out to fix this. I want to read to you a tweet direct from the president himself, his response to this disaster. And I quote, "Put pressure on the Democrats to end the horrible law that separates children from their parents once they cross the border into the U.S. catch and release. Lottery and Shane must also go with it and we must continue building the wall. Democrats are protecting MS-13 thugs. So basically, you're telling us to bitch at the Democrats for something you did! You did this! If nothing else, you put the man in place that set this up. Because this is the policy of Jeff Sessions. But since Trump is obviously okay with it, he is just as guilty. Do you know what this really is? When you really look at this tweet, you know what this really is? This is our president, Donald Trump, holding human children hostage so he can get his fucking wall. That is what this is. You cannot spin this any other way. This is Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, holding human children as hostages so that he can get a useless fucking wall. That is unexcusable. That is despicable, inhumane, and it brings me to one conclusion. And I don't say this as a joke. I don't say this as hyperbole. I don't say this without being absolutely 100% serious. Based on everything, the Muslim ban, the wall, immigration, and his general treatment of anyone who is not white, Donald J. Trump is without question in my mind the next Adolf Hitler. And I know many of you were going to call me out for saying that. I know many of you were going to say that I could not possibly make that kind of accusation. But look at the facts, people! He has no regard for human life unless they are just like him. That is disgusting. And I will not stand for it anymore. I will not sit quietly and let this go unchallenged. I'm not going to do anything serious. I'm not going to do anything that drastic. But I am going to call it out for what the fuck it is. It is racism. It is lying. It is stupidity at its absolute epitome. And now comes the part where you come to hate me. Because you know who I blame for all of this? If you voted for Trump in 2016, I blame you. I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care if you're a friend. I don't care if you're a member of my family. I don't care if you're my own fucking mother. If you voted for this man, you allowed all of this to happen. You set this in motion because you didn't want Hillary. Because you thought that Donald Trump, being the successful man that he claims he is, will make America great again. If you had taken even a second to look at his history, you would have realized you were in for a world of pain. He is a liar. He is a scoundrel. He is a scam artist. He didn't even become rich on his own. He got his money from his fucking father, you dumb pieces of shit. He has no success. You know what success he has? He just tells people he's successful. And he told enough of the right people that they believed him. But you look at his history, nothing he's ever done has truly been successful. The only thing he's been successful at is telling people he's successful. He didn't earn jack shit. I have worked harder than Donald Trump. And if you know me, that is saying a ton. This is your fault. All of this is your fault. The blood of those children are on your hands. And I know that many of my family, including my mother, will contact me to tell me that I need to calm down. But not this time. I will not back down anymore. If you support him, you caused this. And I have no respect for you as a human being anymore because you condone the acts of a pathological liar, a racist, a bigot, and an asshole. Their blood is on your hands. I dare you to prove me wrong. And if you are going to challenge me, if you're going to call me out for whatever reason, you better bring your facts to the table because I will not back down. I will be civil, but I will not go down easy. I will point out every single fact because I've done my homework. I've done my research. As you can see, I've sourced all of my arguments from sources that you cannot dispute to show that this happened and you allowed this to happen. Hillary may not have been the greatest choice for our country. I will not argue that. I didn't even vote for her myself. I voted third party because I wanted to see someone else have a shot at this. Someone who, even if they weren't perfect, were a lot better than those two. But you voted for Trump, so this is your fault. And why am I so angry about this? Why does this affect me? Well, directly, it doesn't. I'm a 32-year-old white male. I'm exactly the kind of person Trump likes. But you know who it does affect? My children, my 5-year-old son, and my 12-year-old daughter. It affects them because their future is going to be shaped by this man. Their education, their environment, their future is in this man's hands, and he is currently crushing all of it for the sake of his own fucking ego. Why do you think he wants to build the fucking wall? Because he wants to say he built a monument. He wants something that can be seen from space. He wants his equivalent of the Great Wall of China so that he can say, I made that happen. Why do you think he backed out of the Iran nuclear deal? He wants to go to war. He wants to say, I am a president that fought and won in a war. Hey, Trump, last time a president did something like that was when Bush did it 2 presidents ago. And you know what happened? We still mock him to this day. But I would take George W. Bush at his absolute dumbest. Anytime. If we had Bush back in office, I would be singing his praises because not even he could do something this despicable. If we were to have Bush back, I would gladly call myself a Republican again because at least he tried to make this country as good as it could be. He was terrible at it. He made many mistakes, but he at least showed some fucking effort. You're just more than happy to rip this country apart. And I'm tired of it. I am sick of it. So please, can we end this now? Can we please hurry to 2020? And before you say, well, why can't we just find a reason to impeach him? And trust me, I would love that. But here's the problem. The Trump administration planned ahead for this. Even if Trump gets impeached, we're left with President Mike fucking Pence. A man who, by many accounts, is even worse than Trump. I don't even know how that's possible, but apparently it is. How did we get this point? How did we get an administration that is basically causing us to roll back 50 years of progress in an instant? Maybe even 60. We're getting back to the times of the 50s and 60s at the height of the racism, the height of our worst years. You asked for this, people. You voted for this. And now my generation and the generations that follow will have to suffer the consequences. I hope you're proud of yourself. I hope you sleep so soundly at night while we sit here and struggle and suffer at the hands of the president you chose. I have nothing more to say. Just remember that number. 1,475. Their blood is on your hands. My name is John Tagg. And I'll see you next time.